today it's good morning from Boston, Massachusetts. We've got the skyline in the background. Yes, it's another grey American day, but I'm not going to believe anything after yesterday in Bar Harbour when the weather turned around. Although in fairness, I have got my coat packed in my bag ready to go because it's meant to rain later, but we'll worry about that later. I'm going to go and explore on my own today, so I'm having breakfast first. I'm just taking my time. We're here till 9:30 p.m, so we've got all day to explore, so that's going to be really good. And yeah, I want to find out if all these things that I've heard about are as good as they are in real life. The one thing I have spotted down there is the hop-on, hop-off trolley bus with a big massive queue behind it. It's 10:15, so I'm assuming that most people are still just finishing breakfast and getting out. I did wonder about getting the trolley bus. I haven't quite decided yet, but there are places that I know I can walk to from here, so I think I'm going to be walking. But if you want the trolley bus, they do come to the cruise terminal apparently on cruise days. Actually, it's a cloudy day today, but it's really quite warm. I think it's about 19 degrees at the minute. It's meant to be 20 later on when it's raining. But if you come out early, 10:15, all the beds around the pool are all empty. I mean, alright, it's not the Caribbean. There's one or two people who can have the pool and the hot tubs to yourself. Always worth considering. If you like a bit of peace and quiet, this is a good time of morning to enjoy the ship. There is a bar open, you can get your bottles of water for your day out. I'm heading down to this corner for the buffet. That chap there, he's eating his breakfast out. Personally, I don't bother doing that, I just have it inside. Hand washing essentials, keep the bugs off. They've also got little hand sanitisers. I must admit, I haven't seen many people using them. So we're docked in the Fling Cruise Port Terminal today here in Boston, and it's in the middle of nowhere at the moment, so I'm not seeing an obvious way to walk, but I've got my tourist map picked up free in the terminal, so we're going to go and see what there is. So, after a bit of a convoluted walk from the port, not very far, it's only taken me 10 minutes, I've found the wharfs and the waterfront, so a bit more idea where I'm heading now. Boston Harbour. And the wharfs run parallel all the way up here, so I'm going up there. So my plan for this morning is to head to the spot where the Boston Tea Party happened. So there are all these different piers and wharfs. So that's the Fish Pier, which is over 100 years old. Ferries and fishing boats. And it's obviously a city that's very active on the water. Fish Pier obviously still in use. And just round from piers up ahead you've got skyscrapers, so I'm going to see a bit of architecture later there. Very art deco, I don't know how old that is, but I'm just walking, see what I see. So this is a different trolley tour company. So the harbour walk, this sounds like the sort of thing I'm after. A little boardwalk. This is going to go round. I'm pretty sure this is the general direction I want to be. Maybe it's not, I don't know. I'm going to see the harbour if nothing else. Okay, so this is the Harbour Walk boardwalk. But I've decided not to go around there because it takes you all the way around there. And actually, if I stick to the main road, I'll get to where I want to be a little bit quicker. Plenty of places to eat out here as well. And although it's cloudy, it's really warm. Reasonably busy for a Saturday, but you see some nice stuff along the way. So this seems to be a shopping district, not least because I recognise some of those foodie kind of places. So food, dining, entertainment. So this is actually called Seaport Boulevard. You can go on rent a bike if you want. One line with some nice little street art. Got 1,000,001 crossroads, but we head towards the skyscrapers. But I'm pretty sure that this is roughly where I want to go for the Boston Tea Party Museum. So that's out into the main Boston Harbour. Right across the road there, you can see what I think is the Boston Tea Party Museum. And behind me is the one thing I always think of when I hear the word Boston, which is the Boston Tea Party. So I'm going to go and learn about that today. So you can go in the museum, but they're only timed tours. To be honest, I don't need a museum because I've got lots I want to see today. And I've seen the ships, which is the main thing. There's a little souvenir shop there. I've just got my Boston souvenirs. So I've managed to pick the 250th anniversary year of the Boston Tea Party. You can go on the ships and in the museum, but they're timed tours, so the next one's not till 1:15 and it's only 20 to 1 now. But I have lots to see today, so I'm going to carry on walking. I don't really need a museum tour just at this point, because you know, it's still quite a nice day, it's nice and warm. But actually, it's quite satisfying to see. And there are little history boards around on the harbour walk. You can read and get to know about it. So I've been reading about the Great Fire that destroyed half of Boston. And you do get to see the reenactors and people around. So yeah, all very interesting. My first stop in Massachusetts. If you're on the tour, you can have a go at throwing some tea into the Boston Harbour. Oh, there we go. And then they put them on a rope and pull them back up. It's a bit more effective than the original version, which they threw millions of dollars worth of tea into the harbour back in the day, 250 years ago. So if you don't know the story of the Boston Tea Party, it was the British decided to tax tea and other goods, and the Americans didn't like it because they didn't want taxation without representation, because they didn't have any as a colony. That got them all excited, and for some reason they decided to take the ships and throw the tea into the Boston Harbour. It was in 1773, and I think that was kind of one of the starters of the American Revolution. So there are loads of historic things to see. The Boston Tea Party just really started the American Revolution, or it was one of the things they did. And they're all there in the centre there. So I'm down here. I'm going to go and do all that kind of area. So that's where I'm off to next. I always find it quite amazing when you have skyscrapers that are that tall, they're in the clouds. So I'm moving from skyscrapers along Atlantic Avenue. So this is the financial district. I think if I follow Atlantic Avenue, I will end up in the historic district, financial district. I'm going to carry on following Atlantic Avenue, and that is Seaport Boulevard where I started off.
Right, Atlantic Avenue.
So we've got another of the hop-on, hop-off trolleybus companies. We're now heading into the historic district. There's little parks and stuff, surrounded by great big hotels. Little bits of leaves falling off because there's a breeze picked up. It's a beautiful little park to walk through. I can already tell when I felt a little bit lost coming out of the port. Once you get your bearings and you get over that little bridge sort of thing to the wharves, it's Loud Broad Sweep there. It feels really easy to walk around, so it's not quite as far between everything as the map makes it look, or at least it doesn't feel to be so far. I'm quite happy exploring on foot, but the hop on hop off buses do seem to stop everywhere as well. So even in the centre of the city, like everywhere else, they've got the parks. So I'm on the Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy Greenway. I presume she's related to JFK in some way. It's Saturday in Boston, so there's like a little craft market going on down in the centre of the city. Yeah, there's a lot of yellow trees here, so the colours are turning. What I like to see. Although this is really my last day on land in New England. And then it is Saturday. I'm presuming this is kind of the regular market. Oh, and this is what I was going to come and see. I found it by accident. So this is the Quincy Market. Now, I actually don't really know much about the Quincy Market other than it's one of the historic places in Boston again. I've seen loads of people online who've visited Boston and that's where they go. And it's just starting to spit as well, getting a little bit rainy, so hoping if this is the worst it's fine. I'm not on Clothes or Brolly yet, but actually it's a good excuse to go inside and explore, see what Quincy Market has to offer. Although actually, before the rain starts I might just do the main market first. Very international, they've got the Wagamamas. If I was staying, I might nip in there. I haven't seen enough to make me want to visit Boston yet. I'm not sure, I think there's a lot to see here to be honest. There's loads of stuff that I'm not going to get a chance to do on a cruise. I'm heading in to the Quincy Market. I'm not going to film all the way around because we're going to have a look. We're going to get some souvenirs. MIT near Boston, Boston College, Harvard University. They're all tours you can do as well. So Quincy Market is a giant, lively food market. They've got all their lobster rolls. They're obsessed Americans, don't get it. But you can get pizza. I'm going to go down this side and see what else there is. There's hot dogs, smoothies, cakes, bakery. I've had a massive breakfast, so I don't actually need any food. I've not stopped eating on the ship, but it smells good and it's amazing to see what we're all queuing up for. If you're exploring for a day, this might also be a good reason to visit Quincy Market too. So the toilets were free, so they were alright. Universal thing, great for the blokes. There's two massive queues for the ladies. So America's letting the side down. We've got a first rain of the holiday. It's finally coming. It's getting a bit wet. Fortunately, I brought my coat with me. So the centre of Quincy Market is where all the food stalls are, but actually on the outside you've got all these normal market stalls, souvenir stalls, craft stalls. They sell all sorts of stuff. So good for a wander if you want some souvenirs. Finally, to remind us that it's autumn, And it's not just about colours on the trees, the leaves are all starting to blow off the trees today. Quincy Market on this side and the Faneuil Hall on that side. To the end of Quincy Market, and the Cornell University Big Red Marching Band has come and they're playing loads of tunes, and it's really good, unexpected, and I don't really have anywhere else to be, so I'm going to watch it. Faneuil Hall has got shops, but it's also got a visitor centre, so I'm going to go and see what that's about. Faneuil Hall's another market space, but they've got these little exhibition spaces as well. So I can come up in a lift to the Great Hall, see Quincy Market, the band is still going in the rain. This is an exhibition space as well. Just been in the Great Hall of Faneuil Hall, and it's part of the National Park Service in America, so one of the rangers gave a talk on the history of the hall, so I was there just at the right time. So yeah, come upstairs to the second floor, and it's quite good to see, as well as the market downstairs and the exhibition space down in the basement as well. So Boston has a heritage trail called the Freedom Trail. It's all about the revolution, so not very British really, but to find all the places that are important to it, you can follow this red brick line around the city. Following the trail, and the lights are on there. So we can follow the trail, and we're going there to the old state house. So it's working, I'm on the right bit. And you get the hop on, hop off stops if you don't want to walk it. This is the old State House building. You can see the Lion and the Unicorns up the top. Hop on, hop off bus, surviving. And the duck tour. And another hop on, hop off bus, so you know. There's a million ways to see in the city. I still think walking's the best. So yeah, that's the old State House. I'm going in, just coming for a look. And I don't really know where else I have to do, so I'm going to follow the red line again. See where else this Freedom Trail takes me. Yes, I didn't know they had a metro. There you go. I did check, and there is a charge for the State House Museum. I wasn't really anxious about going in there anyway. I'm more interested in seeing the city at this point. Very nice, interesting building there. Oh, actually, hang on. On the back of the State House. Following the trail, and I see an old looking spire appearing, so I'm feeling that's where I'm heading to next. This tower, it turns out, is the Old South Meeting House. So, the largest meeting space in colonial Boston, and one of the places where people got together to discuss independence, led to the American Revolution. This is the Boston Irish Famine Memorial. Swoops around to presumably what these people were like before the famine. So the next stop on the Freedom Trail is the old City Hall. But this trail is actually working. I must be honest, if I didn't know I needed to see. So this is the statue of Benjamin Franklin, who I didn't know was born in Boston, although I did know he lived in Philadelphia because I've been there and seen that. So he stands outside the old City Hall, which apparently was renovated in the 1970s into a restaurant and office blocks because it was underused. So it's a historic building, but it's not used as that anymore. So we're at an old cemetery now on the Freedom Trail, next to the King's Chapel, which is open. I've noticed that more and more of these things are starting to be paid attractions, so you need to pay and come and see them. So you need to pay to go in the church, but you don't need to do that. I will go and find out why this graveyard is so interesting. So this is the graveyard with some of the original settlers. There's about 1,000 people in here. It's famous for being old. It's not actually the chapel's burial ground. The chapel came later. And these tombs are dating from the 1600s, 1700s. So I found another burial ground. This one's where the famous Paul Revere is buried. And it's also one of the Boston massacre victims are. Paul Revere spotted that the British were coming. This is where he's buried. So now the British are coming to see him. Different world. There are quite a lot of walking tours going on as well, so if that's your thing. There are quite a lot of signs around the city and the graveyards and wherever, so you can actually do it self-guided and learn a bit and just stop and read as you go along. So a duck tour is another way of getting around the city. So I'm continuing along the Freedom Trail. I'm finding stuff that I didn't know I needed to find before. But I'm also conscious of the fact I'm walking away from the central town, which I'm not quite sure I'm ready to do yet. So I might turn around and look a bit. It also feels really dark here, and it's about 4:45. So it's just turned grey and dull, and it feels like it's still lovely and warm. So yeah, so now we've I want to say a church, but it could be in anything. Yes, it's the Park Street Church. So you move from the Congregational Church to Boston Common, the place where the annual Christmas tree goes, I think. I've heard little stories about this place on my journey. They're always teaching you stuff. There you go, there's a metro or a subway or something as well. Might be a way of getting around if you need it. Boston Common by the Freedom Trail, founded in 1634. Ooh. So this is Boston Common, used for grazing cattle. Apparently the British Redcoats were here and they camped here, and it's also where people met as part of the American Revolution. So yeah, there's lots of history in this park. Now it's a park and it's full of people having a walk on a Saturday afternoon. So in the park there I can see Golden Dome. I don't know what it is, so I'm heading that way. So I can see that this is the Massachusetts State House. So I'm sure in my ignorance now I don't know my state capitals, but I'm guessing that Boston is going to be the capital of Massachusetts, my 12th US state, if I haven't mentioned it already. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. Squirrels on Boston Common. Roll out little squirrels jumping around. It's the only wildlife I've seen, and they're not particularly wild, they're not bothered about us at all. They've even got a little baseball field. I'm guessing they're sports pitches, I don't quite know. I'm not sure what that one is in the distance, whether it's the same. I vaguely recognise that sand circle has something to do with baseball, and there's a guy with oh maybe not, it could be basketball to be honest. We'll go with sports pitches. And right on the edge of the common we've got another cemetery. There's a few old cemeteries in the centre. I was thinking this common is actually quite a small park, but as I'm walking into it, it's massive to be honest. There's a bit for the kids, the squirrels are out, and then I can see a monument over there. Go and have a look. So it's getting on for 4:30. I've had a lovely stroll through the common. To be honest, you don't have to do everything. I mean, I've got my tourist map out again. I don't really know what else I want to see. There's loads I haven't even scratched the surface on, to be honest. But I think I've seen pretty much everything that I want to. I've lost the Freedom Trail. I don't know where that must have ended up the top there. So I'm going to follow my nose, see what else I see on the way. But I think I'm going to head back to the ship now. And a public garden from 1837. It's only just across the road from the common. One little squirrels. If you're enjoying my Boston adventures, please do like and subscribe. Not finished in the USA yet, so there's plenty more still to come. I'm sort of following the map. I'm in the theatre district, hopefully. I'm saying that because I can see the theatre, and that was roughly where I was heading. So Tremont Street, I've seen that, so I'm a little bit lost now, so it's good fun. Going for a wander. And on my wander, it's got me to Chinatown. I actually do need to pass through this bit to go elsewhere. But look at that street art. Smell around Chinatown is amazing. It's making me hungry. Smell all the good bakeries and restaurants cooking away. Now the good thing about talking to my phone as I'm doing stuff is that this is Atlantic Avenue. And if you remember, about 3.5, 4 hours ago, we went to Atlantic Avenue, and that met with what was it called? The Seaport Drive, that's the one. So now I'm on Atlantic Avenue, and if I follow this, I'll get to Seaport, and if I get to Seaport, I know how to get back to the ship. So happy days. And in the meantime, look, more architecture and the buildings. So I mean, I think this is Financial or downtown street, whatever. Glass buildings, skyscrapers, all dotted around your beautiful old buildings. Even the sirens some. I don't know what's going on. I remember some of these buildings, so I can't be that far away. Summer Street, I know Summer Street is where I originally started off, so I'm going to go a bit further over. Summer Street was the road I was on when I got lost. Oh, there's transit, please. For the disco lights. So yeah, Summer Street will take me down to the port, but I'm going to carry on because further along it's a bit more historic and exciting. Here I am again, back down in the financial district. And if I carry on down there, that's the bridge where I started with the Boston Tea Party this morning. I've earned my map reading badge today, or either that or Boston is just one of those places you can walk around in a big circle. But I've seen loads of good stuff on the exploration. Yay, I know where I am now. It says hopefully, so I'm going this way back to the ship. Right to the bottom of Seaport Drive. So when I went my convoluted route all the way around there, and then I came onto it a bit further up, I should have just got off the ship and found Seaport Drive. So there's a tip for you. Find Seaport Drive, straight into town. So I followed my little map to the port, and there she is. There's the ship in the background. Caribbean Princess waiting for me with a beer. Hey, I found the ship. It is a bit more convoluted than I thought though. I've kind of come down a little path down there, which is a little side street next to the car park, so it's easy to see why you would miss going down that little street. But anyway, no problem, the ship's there waiting. Disco time on the Skywalk Walk. No people here. Always tell there's a bit of rock and roll coming when they've got the sick bags ready on the staircases. we're heading into a bit of a storm for tomorrow, so sea day will be fun.